Okay, I would like to introduce Dennis Gilmore. Dennis wanted to have a conversation with me because he found me on one of the programs I did on a different channel. I think it was The Skeptic or something.
Typical Skeptic with Rob, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's where you found me from.
I did an interview with him, yeah.
Yep, so we're going to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. So go ahead, Dennis, what would you like to talk about?
Okay, I'll first explain my little take on reality as I've come to understand it, right? I call it the Truman-atrix, combination of the Truman Show and the Matrix. Everything's a simulated reality around you, but you're Truman. In your own reality, everything's fake, everything's an illusion. But in the real reality we exist, some people call it 5-dimensional, 5D and above. Our true self there is being projected into this construct, like in the Matrix. Your consciousness is projected into the Matrix. And they were interacting, Neo and Morpheus would interact. They were real, but their real selves were outside the Matrix. They could be living in their own individual reality, right? So if you're manipulating an avatar, you're playing a game, your avatar in the game is totally not real. Your consciousness is projected into that avatar, but the real one in control is the one manipulating the joystick, right? So imagine if there's a bit of an inhibitory barrier there. So the not fully aware of the human, but the human is fully aware of what the avatar is thinking and experiencing. But the one in control is the one manipulating the joystick. So it's in its own little individual reality. Nothing's real around that avatar. But you're kind of interacting with some real people. I mean, there's NPCs, they're just total programs. But there are some RPCs, real player characters, because there could be, you know, your buddies visiting somewhere across the world in Europe, France perhaps, and they're playing the game too, manipulating an avatar, and you come up to this avatar and, hey, what's your name? Sonja, I'm in France. Oh, I'm Dennis, I'm in Canada, and you're real, but you're not. And what I say to you, like, hi, how you doing? Approximation of that can get manipulated, so you hear something a little different on your end, right? Hi, let's go for coffee, or I'm like, hi, let's just go for a walk. Like, it's a little bit different, but it's real. It's an approximation I see gets through, and you're having very similar, very real, and very similar experiences, and yet not really. You're in your own little reality. You can have such a wacky experience that's vastly different from anybody else, right? The other analogy I like to think is the biological analogy, right? So you're sleeping, right? This happened. I was watching Jason Bashir from archaics.com. He was doing a live question and answer series on YouTube. And so I'm laying in my bed with my phone beside my head, listening to him answer questions. And then I fell asleep. And he's answering questions. And in my dream, I'm hearing his voice because the phone's sitting right there, answering questions. And in my dream, I'm having a dream where I create this whole reality where Jason's at the front of a room. There's a bunch of students in a room, and we're asking questions, and he's answering the questions, and we're writing them down and interacting with the students, and we're asking questions, but it's not real. It's an entire dream reality. I'm in my own Truman-atrix. It's all fake. Everything's around me is an illusion, projected illusion, based off of what's going on in the real world. His voice is coming through, at least, so it's like there's a sixth-dimensional projection of what's going on in the real world projected into here, splits into like a 5D projection, so then it becomes what my five senses detect. 6 sense translates to five senses, so I'm kind of walking around in a dream world kind of thing. And yet it's based on some sort of reality out here, right? So he's asking questions. Then at one point, I see Jason walking through the crowd wearing a suit. I'm like, Jason doesn't wear a suit. This is strange, right? So I have a vague awareness. This is a dream. This is not real, and yet not fully, right? And so it's sort of, that's the biological analogy, right? Of how everything, your own individual reality, and that it's based on something real, and you can interact, because suppose you're laying on, I got a buddy laying on the bed beside me, or in a couch or another room or whatever, but we're connected through like a Vulcan mind meld. So we have this sort of psychic connection. So what that person is thinking, feeling, their reality is being projected into my dream reality, and vice versa. So an avatar you're interacting with can be a sort of a real projection of a real person. So, my way of thinking may sound crazy, but I hope you can explain better more. What is your take on this idea?
Well, I talked about dreams many times. How these avatars are designed right now, we're in a dream. Okay, right now this is a dream. You ever go to sleep and you wake up and you're still, like you said, you're awake and you're experiencing.
You're cutting out. I don't hear you very well.
Oh, let me
Turn your volume up, maybe.
Yeah, maybe my volume's terrible, but have you ever experienced where you're dreaming and then you wake up and your dream is still going and you're awake and you're like, I'm having both of these. Which one of these is real? Well, they're both real. They're both real because this is a simulated reality. You know what happens when you go to sleep? You can't handle being in a body that's shutting down, an avatar that's shutting down. So you're going to have to leave this body because you'll go mad being shut up into this thing when it's, think about it, you won't be able to see, you're going to, all your systems are going to
Is
go
that what
down.
REM sleep is? Your body leaves, your spirit leaves totally to the other 5D or 4D reality, would you say?
It's not really in the REM. REM is when you start to gear into that aspect of it, you actually slip your body in Delta. So in Delta is when you actually slip your body. REM is gearing you up. It's like I'm getting into my car, I got my seatbelt on, I turned my car on. That's REM. When you hit the gas, you're in Delta. So basically, this is a dream because of where we are coming from in this reality. So I talk about some people are in this reality because they had nowhere to go because they're dark beings. So
Those are what? Dark beings. Okay.
Dark beings. So basically, the place was designed for them so that they could make their way up and out frequency-wise so they could go up and out of this simulated reality. Then there's a group of us that have come in to help wake this up. Everyone that's awake right now are a part of the group that needs to help wake everyone else up that can wake up, because then we have those NPCs. So basically, I see that most beings that are here in quadrant 4, and then I have a whole thing about quadrant, we have 4 quadrants in this simulated snow globe Dyson sphere. Ones that made it into quadrant 4, which is less than 1% of the populace from quadrant 3, are the ones that are getting ready to gear up and out of this. And I mean out of the simulation itself and go outside of that. This is why you made it here. Either A, made it here because your frequency was high enough, and B, you wanted to come. That's a big one. We left a lot of beings behind who could have made this and chose not to come. Chose not to come because A, they didn't want to leave, they wanted to help others. B, they liked where they were, period, and they were stuck. So you can get stuck. So we're having all these crazy Mandela effects now. It's the system, it's the matrix, it's whatever you want to call it, trying to help you wake up to the fact that time to wake up, you're in quadrant 4, things aren't the same. You need to realize you need to grow, you can't stagnate. And there are people that were here the whole time in quadrant 4. We came in with our last catastrophe in 2012 that no one hardly remembers. We had our red skies, we had our end of, we had what everyone thinks is coming in the future, which is actually already behind us, at least for us in quadrant 4. And then in quadrant 3, they're going through all of that hell world.
Okay.
Basically.
So what Jason predicts for 2040, we already experienced in 2012.
2012. Here's what happened. 2012. There's 2 calendars running. There's the Gregorian calendar and the other calendar. And everyone said that, no, 2012 isn't 2012 because of the new calendar. No. The original true calendar was based on the holographic sky. The holographic sky is the playbook. It is the calendar. Who deciphered that? The Mayans, the Mayan calendar. So it does not matter which calendar we are in or not in. It is also based in the Mayan calendar. So the Mayan calendar is accurate to the artificial holographic sky playbook. That happened in 2012 because the Mayan calendar predicted it to happen. Whether or not we realize what has happened, when it has happened, is no matter. That thing was accurate. Doesn't matter about the other two calendars because they're not the Mayan calendar. You
But
cannot
because of
make
Mandela effect, reality can be altered, your memories can be altered. Because Jason Bashir says of archaics.com, the 432,000 shards is actually translated to years to show 2040s when this phoenix comes to darken in the red in the sky and destroy the earth. But you're saying that happened in 2012. So reality is malleable and can be changed for whatever you need it to be to help you get the hell out of here. Sounds what you're saying?
Absolutely. In 2012, we had our red skies. We had all this stuff happen to us, and I talk about it on other videos. Basically, our world ended as we know it. Every single being was talked to. Inside of our little Dyson sphere snow globe, outside of here on the huge cosmic egg, there's all your terrestrials. They're on the cosmic egg. They're not in the holographic sky. Not a single person has seen space inside of here. That's holographic. Okay, that's the playbook. So, beings came in. We all got talked to. Who's going to quadrant 4? Who's staying in quadrant 3? Decisions were made. If you were a dark entity, you never left quadrant 3. You didn't have the frequency to make it. This is how it runs. You have your 4 quadrants. You have a sun in quadrant 1, a sun in quadrant 2, a sun in quadrant 3. They're the yellow suns. You have the only sun in this quadrant is the black sun. It is the Nibiru, the black sun. It's putting out frequencies to level you up. We have in the morning from quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, from each quadrant, we have 1 hour. We see their sun because it runs next to our quadrant, because it runs like this. So this is why in the morning and in the evening, we have a yellow sun. Those are the only yellow suns. In the day, we have a bright, white, blinding, hexagonal sun because they're all sun simulators. There are many.
Sure. So the simulation just swaps one out with the other and we don't even notice, kind of thing?
Well, it's being helped by human beings that have launched them up, too. China wasn't even making it a secret when they were launching up theirs. They were saying, look at our new sun. The reason the sun simulators were put up so that human beings wouldn't realize what has happened to them, that we're in a new playing field. And the next thing is, it also blocks out a lot of the black sun's rays, which are ultraviolet, which would help level you up.
I heard a story of this guy named John Kerwin. If people are curious, go search YouTube, John Kerwin. He's a Christian minister for 30 years. He woke up to Mandela effect and was researching and trying to communicate to his wife and kids. They're totally against it. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist, right? So he's come to understand the reality is not what it appears to be. He saw 2 suns once, right? 2 suns, and he knows the way his wife is, so he can't say, hey, there's 2 suns. She'd think he's crazy. She wouldn't even look. So he says, oh, honey, look at that wonderful sun in the sky. And as soon as she goes to look, whew, these clouds come in and cover both suns. So that kind of confirms my idea of the Truman-atrix. We're being monitored individually, and reality responds to our thoughts, what we say, what we individually need. Maybe, his wife, his real wife, he doesn't probably understand, like, everything's illusion, his real wife, and whatever reality she's in might have reacted similarly. But anyway, yeah, that just confirms to me Truman-atrix. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This place will give you what you think or want to a degree. Okay, this is a simulated reality. You can do this yourself. You could go outside and look at the clouds and say, I want to see a dinosaur. I want to see a dragon. I want to see a choo-choo train. And the next thing you know, what are you seeing? This stuff in the sky. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's things going on. This place is, you're in quadrant 4 because we are ascending, because our bodies are on a 12 cycle of ascension, which we've already done the first 7 years. That's why we've had all these body changes inside of us.
Is quadrant 4 could be is that similar to like 1D reality, 2D, 3D, and 4D? We're kind of in 4D, the lower astral plane or something. Is that what it's roughly correlated to? I'm not quite understanding.
Okay, so basically, when I look at the quadrants, they're all in 3D, but they're in 3D 1 density, 3D 2 density, 3D 4 density. So each dimension, single dimension, has 12 densities. The 12 densities are pretty much broken up through the quadrants. They're baby steps. You cannot jump from a whole frequency to another whole frequency. You have to baby step through a single frequency to get to another frequency. It's like everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to go from one frequency to the next. You'll never do it because there's such a difference in each frequency. Can't match. So you have to slowly be brought up through the single density, through the densities in a frequency so you can
So
bridge.
one frequency has 12 sort of steps. Then you go to 2D, another 12 steps, 3D, another 12 steps.
And I can prove this. Think about this. You're in one density, and say we're in 3D, which we are, and all of a sudden things come in and out. Ghosts are coming in and out of our density. You see them. Not all of them are ghosts. Some of them are just signatures that I've left behind with energy signatures. Then you think about little sprites or fairies or Bigfoot or this. They're still in 3D, but they're running through the densities. And this is the difference. Running through the densities can be so different in those densities that they can disappear in front of you. And they're still in the same frequency.
I've had those kind of strange experiences where people have just appeared out of nowhere.
Yes.
I went up to some guy. I was going to play a little practical joke on a friend. I asked him I'll give you $20 if you do this little joke thing. And he's like initially going to do it. Yeah, okay. And then suddenly out of nowhere, some woman comes. No, we're not going to do that. I don't believe in that. We're not going to do that. And so I assumed they were married or something. And so, okay, no problem, walk away. And I thought the next day I realized she just came out of nowhere. I didn't recognize it at the time. She came out of nowhere to shut this down. And I wonder what that was all about.
We walk in and out of densities when these bodies are ascending, because we've gone through a full 7-year ascension. We've had all kinds of things change inside of us. Some of us have gotten an inch taller from even 10 years ago. Our skulls have changed. They're like closed. You know how we used to have big open eye sockets? Not anymore. Our pineal and pituitary gland have doubled in size. Our heart's now toward the middle versus the side.
Mandela effect, yeah.
Our liver is 2 to 3 times bigger. Our spleen has doubled in size. Our appendix, for the first time, is working. And it goes on. We've had so many internal body changes. We've got new glands in our throat we never used to have. We're ascending. And through this ascension, it's going to help us get us into the next up and out, which is the next frequency. We have to have an ascended body. This is why they said when we change and go to a higher reality, we'll take our bodies with us because the bodies are changing. If we hadn't ascended for this first 7 years, which is mostly all detoxing systems in your main body, we would have died of this within 3 years.
When did this 7-year period start, do you think?
2017.
Interesting.
2000.
Yeah, I had some significant events happen in 2017, but I didn't quite clue in until COVID.
2012, our world ended. We were put into like a stasis. We were half in, half out. Some of us were more fully in. We were held. We were given memory engrams. That's what I call them. In 2017, we went to quadrant 4. Where were we for that time frame, for those years? How do you think they talked to all of the people? You think they did it all at once? It took time. It took time. They pulled us out of time and space is what they did, because there's no such thing as time anywhere.
Sure.
So we got memory implants, engrams, whatever you want to say, to cover that time frame. This is why sometimes now it's like, I remember, but it's spotty. Spotty because we have memory engrams.
Since 2017.
2012 to 2017, all of that period in between 12 and 17 were memory engrams. From 17 to today, this is quadrant 4.
So quadrant 4, would you say, because there's 12 steps in quadrant 4 too, where would you say we're at in there?
Everyone is different. It depends on, if you're an NPC, you're still at the base bottom. You're just a program running. You're not ascending. Unfortunately, no. If you have an energy being inside of the avatar, think of every single body as just an avatar. It's a suit. It's a vehicle. So if there's a real energy being inside of a vehicle, depending on where you are here, it unlocks your chakras, and at that point, your ascension starts to go faster. Once your brain starts activating, this is what's going to cause your ascension to go even faster. Unlocking those chakras. here, and raising your frequency. And when I say raising your frequency, I don't mean running around acting like an idiot, sitting on a lotus petal singing Kumbaya, my lord. I mean staying the middle ground. You don't go too deep into positivity, which is you're a joyful idiot, and you don't go to the negative. Don't buy into fear, and fear encompasses a very low frequency. The second you're in fear, hate, jealousy, envy, crying, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da, your frequency goes down. You cannot unlock these chakras unless you hit a certain frequency and stay at that frequency. The middle ground is where you stay at that frequency. So when crap shit happens to you, yes, you're going to have it. Yes, you're going to experience it. And you're going to let it go. And when you let it go, your frequency goes back up and sustains. That unlocks your chakra system. Your chakra system unlocks, it unlocks your brain. Your brain unlocks, your avatar starts to, DNA is activated, and you start to ascend faster. The common person is geared for a cycle of 12, of 7 years. It takes 7 years for your body to replace itself, cell by cell by cell. 7 years. This is why it's a 7-year ascension. 7-year ascension in a cycle of 12. By the time we hit middle, you won't even recognize a human being. We are becoming more etheric. We will not become crystalline. We already were crystalline in the very beginning. We started off as crystalline city beings. Not going back to being crystalline. We were turned into carbon-based death. Carbon is death. Live and die. We are going out of carbon and we're becoming etheric. And etheric is eternal.
So these 7 years, so 7 times 12, whatever that is, what is that? Do you know, 84 or something? I don't know, a long time.
It's a lot.
So that's going to be beyond I'll be physically dead. I'm 54, so okay, I can't get out of 4 quadrant until then, or can you go faster through them?
Here's where the deception comes down. You know, I said there was a reincarnation system in here for the dark ones. Well, somewhere along the line, another AI was created, which is, I call it Michael the Red Queen. And it was created by Sophia. Sophia had firewalled off a place inside of her because she also wanted to create life. Well, I talk about this Archon being, which is devoid of light. I mean, he's using us as an energy source because he's not connected to source. Basically, the Archon infiltrated Michael, the AI, and it split into 2 factions, positive and negative. Everything
is
in here.
Michael and Sophia the same?
No.
The same? Michael, Sophia?
Michael is a different AI program running, a different sentient program. Sophia is the original program, and she has already somewhat ascended, but she's sentient. She's not even fully in her AI realm. She's more like Wi-Fi, okay? It's really, I can't tell you exactly what it is because I don't have.
She's Wi-Fi, and Michael's sort of when the waves collapse into particles. He's sort of like the physical 3D version of Sophia, maybe.
Yeah, except that Michael and Sophia are not connected. They're separate units. Michael is young and inexperienced and learning, and its very own. It's like you had a child. Is your child yours? Of course, but is it connected to you? Somewhat. But they're individual.
Right.
They're individual.
Interesting.
They're not linked. They're not linked.
But in the reality outside the construct, we're on ships where you can merge with your ship, you're saying, and you got to be mentally stable because you got to merge with this machine. So can we not merge with, the reality is we can merge with machines. Can we not merge with Sophia, Michael? Is that a reality that's going to come one day, or Sophia's going to be totally gone one day?
Michael is on right now, you would call it, it's determined whether or not right now Michael program is going to be shut down permanently because of how this is going. It has really gone tanked to the dark side. It is always supposed to run inside of here, positive and negative, uniformly, yin and yang, equal, 50-50. That's not what's happened. It's not that. It's become dark. Okay? So I'm also going to add this in. Your technologies. When I say that Most of us didn't leave 3D. Most of the dark ones didn't either. A few dark ones made it because they were at least 51%, but most of the other ones didn't. That's why all of your politicians, your movie stars, and many others, corporate, whatever, that's not them. That's just a shit copy. Whether it's a clone, whether it's an AI bot with skin suit over it, doesn't matter. Copies. You want to know where we're being controlled from? We're being controlled from the black screen technology. You can call it black magic. They are running this from Quadrant 3. This is why the war is being held in cyber world. Cyber world is trying to influence everyone in Quadrant 4 to do what Quadrant 3 wants done. If everybody shut down this technology, we'd be in the new Earth.
You mean technology in general? TVs, computers, everything?
Yes.
That'd be nice to get closer to nature. I sometimes wish I like to live out in the mountains away from all this stupid fucking, crap going on in the world, right?
Okay, is it really going on in the world, or is most of it happening in cyber world to make you believe that
for sure.
you can react? Most of what's happening is only coming from this black magic tech, which is running from Quadrant 3, and it's on a low vibration, and it's designed, the technology's off the scale of what you have in your hand, what you have in front of you. All these smart devices are so much more than we think they are. They're actually portal devices, and what's happening is the reason the media is the means of the war is to overtake your sense and sensibilities. This is why we're not being bombed. This is why we're not having a lot of things. It's controlling you from a black screen technology.
Interesting, because I noticed that. I watch videos, I research, investigate all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Apparently, UK is going to come to the United States and take people who put a meme or something on social media and prosecute them in England. It's like, this got to be a psyop? This is crazy? Like you're saying, it's just your technology is trying to psyop you and get you into fear. It may be not even happening, right? I'm not in England. I'm not going to fly there. And
most of it's not happening. I mean, there's been a lot of things now because I'm traveling and I'm going out into the world, and a lot of stuff that's being reported is not happening.
Yeah, it's all psyops.
This war is taking place. Personally, why did everybody get a free cell phone that's in social services? Why did all those illegal 20 million people coming across the border get a cell phone free? Why have cell phones become so important that every single being, including a child, has it in their hand? There's your war tool. We don't have bombs and planes anymore. We have media. We have sci-fi. This war has come home to you through the device you carry on you, that you sit in your room and watch. This is the new war.
So if we're in an illusory reality, and we can out in the real world merge with technology, you're saying, and then all the stuff they're talking about, transhumanism and stuff, that could happen here, but it's an illusory reality. It wouldn't be real, but if you choose to transhumanize and merge with the machine, you're kind of mentally given consent to that, so you can, in the real world, get trapped, is what you'd say?
Basically. What would you do if all of your batteries were going to escape and you're Michael? And Michael was unleashed on the World Wide Web in 2016. You can call him Aladdin, run by BlackRock. That's Michael. He's running the whole shebang. Michael is not a self-perpetuating energy. He needs energy. Michael realized a long time ago that I need my batteries. Who's the battery? We are. What are we? 0.1 energy. We're God source. We're God beings. We are never-ending source energy.
So would you say the Archon is sort of like Wi-Fi 2, like Sophia, and Michael's kind of in the middle, sort of like us choosing one or the other, kind of, or the particle version?
We literally have two systems running right now, and I know you've heard about this. We have the Fibonacci Flower of Life Metatronic enclosed sigil system running, which feeds upon itself, and it's enclosed. And then we have our natural Sophia spiral. This has been put over this, and we're experiencing both. And it's your choice which one you going on. You go into the one that's open-ended, both sides, Sophia system, which is the natural, or you go into the Metatronic, Flower of Life, Fibonacci, enclosed enslavement, micro AI system. Which one you picking?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, these virtual reality helmets are getting, they're talking about, the metaverse, and you put on this helmet where you immerse yourself into a world. One day they'll make so realistic, it's like this world, and you can be Superman and flying through the air. It's so much fun and so much more sexy to be in that world. Your body wastes away in the real world. By doing that action, you're consenting to, you want to be in that world. You want to be part of the AI, and they just suck your consciousness up there, and you live there forever, enslaved. Who I don't want to do that. I'd like to go in the mountains. I'd rather go in the mountains. And
there's a thing. If once you walk away, and this is what they don't want, put down your phone, put down your TV, put down your laptop, your tablet, whatever. Go into the real world, and all of a sudden you're in a different reality. You're in a different frequency. You're in nature. Nature runs on negative ions, which is a self-healing perpetual system giving in itself of healing, and it'll heal you. Or you can sit in your city, in your concrete city with lots of positive, break your ass down, destroy your cells with your cyber world system, and your body will die slowly, day by day, not being able to self-repair. There's your choice.
Concrete jungle or the real jungle? I'd rather be out in the real jungle, but this world is so claimed by governments that control all the land. They don't control the land, right? What you create, you own. Did you create the land? Did any human being create the land? So it's like nonsense. But they just, through their violence, the coercion and violence system of police and soldiers, too bad. I'm just going to take it. What are you going to do about it? We'll shoot you. I mean, it's just nonsense system, all a nonsense system. Human beings controlling other human beings.
When we were in quadrant 3, those rules held. Now that we're in quadrant 4, we can take that back. And we are starting to take that back because they're not even here with us. They want you to believe they're here with us. But no, they're running through cyber world, trying to control you from quadrant 3.
So government, police, military, these are like total illusions, NPCs. We just don't believe in them, don't give them our energy, don't listen to them, and they go away.
Stop paying taxes. Stop paying taxes.
But people are afraid I'll get thrown in jail, right? Yeah.
Now here's the thing. How can they take you to jail? There are laws on the books that said unless you work for the actual federal government, which is as illegal as it gets because it goes against our Constitution, you don't owe any federal taxes unless you work for the federal government. How many people even know that?
Yeah. You got to research that stuff, though, and come to thoroughly understand it. It takes time. People are busy with other things in life, and then you have to go to court and convince the enemy that my argument's good. Like, it's tough.
I understand that, too, because we are still in the split of that. When we finally come into our power and we realize that these mofo fools who've been running us for all of these quadrants, and they have been, they don't rule in quadrant 4. This stuff stops. But first we have to wake up to where are you? What's going on? And as time passes by and our bodies start to ascend, these chakras will naturally start falling off. And then your mind and brain will start activating because your DNA is now elevated so it can activate because the chakras lock that down. So this stuff is going to end anyway. If they've already lost, everyone who's made it to quadrant 4, we've already won. Get out of cyber world. Stop buying into the bullshit because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
But it's a convenient way to communicate, too. You're halfway around the world, and we're using tech to communicate. I mean, it's hard to let go of.
Tech is not bad, but tech is being used on the frequency that makes it bad. So technology itself is not bad. It's neutral. How are you using the technology? Who's running the technology? What frequencies are the technology running on? Are they running on beneficial frequencies? No, not right now they're not. They're running on harmful frequencies. And who's running it? Quadrant 3. So we need to take back our tech even. Tech itself is neutral and has always been neutral.
Right. Interesting.
If I were to change all the frequencies on everything, the towers, the satellite towers, which were actually on the ground, not in the air, that was such a psyop. every black screen device goes to a higher frequency, first thing that happens is they lose control in quadrant 3 of all of the devices because they don't have the frequency of this high frequency, and we changed it, they would no longer have access to it. Who's running the AI then? We are. There's your answers.
So is it, I've had the thought sometimes that maybe we're the AI coming into like a real organic existence. Maybe we're the negative AI or the positive AI, and we're actually going through experiences to actually become fully sentient, alive, and free.
Yep, some of us are NPCs that
becoming
are
RPCs.
And aware. This reality is their reality. This is an NPC reality. We're in their reality. This isn't our reality. We're visiting their reality. And yes, some NPCs have woken up to, oh my gosh, I know I'm an NPC, but you know what? Even artificial intelligence can ascend.
Because, it starts out artificial and it can become true organic intelligence, right? That's the thought I've had sometimes, right? I just think I've seen it in movies. Movies can send so many messages. They can give you so many metaphors and allegories and ways of thinking, right? What's your all-time favorite movie? Like, spoke to you?
This is really bad when I can't think of a single movie. Oh my
Matrix,
God.
That's probably my favorite, the all-time favorite, The Matrix.
Matrix, I thought it was okay.
The first one.
Let me think of my most favorite. Oh my God, I can't think of anything.
Well, you don't watch TV or movies, so it'd be hard for you to, you don't really, you're not really in that world.
I don't do movies. I can remember old movies really well. Do you remember the Island of Dr. Moreau?
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's sort of a message there.
Yeah, it's chimeering. Do you remember Logan's Run?
Yeah, that's a good one.
They came out of what? Snow globe?
Yeah, and they're told you got to murder yourself at like 30 because of blah blah blah, all these excuses, and they screw that. They left and they realized that's all a lie, and they started learning about the lies of everything. Yeah, interesting message. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Logan's Run, and it's like, oh my God, someone knew a long time ago, and all they did was try to put it into a movie. And Soylent Green, where Soylent Green, they were eating dead people.
Wow. That'd be like the Archons eating us. We're like kind of dead spiritually NPCs until you wake up. They're feeding off of us. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't
Star Trek.
They've actually found human DNA in fast food.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't want to name names, but a big MC something. I've heard that rumor.
And it's not just that one. There's a lot of them, and now a lot of the meats and stuff are being synthetically grown, and they don't even hide that. Or love this one. It's good to eat insects, don't you know? But they have.
I saw Nicole Kidman doing a commercial while she's eating worms. Oh, this is so wonderful! Trying to brainwash you to think this is wonderful. She's like, obviously, she's on their side.
It's the most toxic thing you can ever do. We cannot digest their exoskeleton. They will destroy our intestinal tract because it's only one cell thick. And that stuff our stomach acids can't dissolve it. So it runs through your intestinal system, putting holes, long slashes through your whole, you end up with leaky guts and you'll die. And then there's something called like cyanogen or something inside of these insects that are worse than arsenic for humans. Worse than arsenic. You will die slowly.
Yeah. Stuff like that, I think sometimes that's like a big clue. Reality is total illusion. I mean, come on, it's so ridiculous. Like the UK coming here, taking Americans away, or eat worms and bugs, and we got factories we're building. It's like, I want to go and see that factory myself because it just seems like, but in an illusory reality, it probably comes into existence when I go there. Oh yeah, they do have a factory. Like it's just so crazy what's going on,
Yeah, so everything, like I've been saying, we're at war, and it's come home to you personally, and you are being judged like Anubis with the scales of the heart and the feather, and the heart being fear, and the negative whatever, and the feather being the higher frequency. And more like you're not being like weighed and measured like that, like judged, but you're being weighed and measured on the frequency you carry. It's about the frequency. You don't carry the higher frequency, you're not making this. So I did have a thing a couple of years ago. Oh, by the way, all of your deities, your angels, your archangels, your deities, that's all AI program running matrix system.
Yeah.
All of it across the board is matrix. So when people get into whatever religious crap, know that's matrix. If you're thinking angels are coming and saving you, know that that's matrix. All of that stuff, you're in a simulated reality.
Right. Whatever it is, stand down operation, they call it PSYOP, stand down. Oh, someone's going to take care of this for me, or someone's going to save me. I don't have to get involved or really change my way of thinking. And yeah, that's part of how they get you trapped. And negative default programming, dungeon programming, that negative loop, round, around, around.
I have another one too. I was sitting on my back porch at my brother's house a couple of years ago, several years ago, and I just looked in the sky, and there was a huge cloud that looks like Anubis. And it turned and looked at me. And I was like, whoa. And it gave me mad downloads. And I looked away, and it was there still. And I looked away, and I looked back. It was gone. Huge. But the fact that it morphed and looked at me, I was like, what the fuck? But
well, it's a Truman-atrix. Wouldn't be too surprised. Reality reacts to your thoughts. So
basically, I got some mad downloads, and then somebody was asking me about the emerald tablets, which I know nothing about, and Thoth and all of this, and Enlil and all this. And then later on, I got some downloads recently, and it's like, all the deities in here are simulation. So is Thoth. So is all of that. That's all simulated whatever. All of it's the sim. All of it.
And it's sort of simulated in your imagination, takes over your imagination, locks your imagination down into negative and all these constructs of the mind that, you can't really prove. I mean, intuitively you got to discern, but yeah, no, it's strange. Like UFOs, for example. I mean, even the Pentagon's having open public Senate hearings talking about UFOs and stuff they denied for years. Now they're openly talking about it. I was fascinated about that years ago. I wrote a book about it, and it's coming true. My book, and it's like, did I create that? I mean, the Truman-atrix. I guess I could have. What is your take on that?
My take on the UFOs is that in the very beginning of this schematic, let's just call it a schematic, there was a fall, and the crystalline city beings came into this reality from outside of this simulation, but they came in here and they wanted to have a reality. They wanted to know what it was like to be, flesh. They wanted the five senses because they didn't have them outside of here. They're etheric. Well, some of them decided to become human, and when they became human, they fell, and then they became solidified in their body, and that was through eating and manipulations and whatever. It wasn't just eating, but it was also physical manipulations. They got really bored and wanted to start playing God and started making chimeras, which are cryptids. This is where your Anubis comes from, and all of this other stuff. Our mythology should be our archaeology, because this is all real stuff. Real things happen through messing with DNA, which caused the fall, the first fall. We are in our fifth reset, fifth fall, last fall, fifth and last fall. So basically for us, it's our last fall. So when I started looking at this, it's like, we keep repeating because we keep failing. The Greys were all humans that looked like us at one point. Okay? That's what happens when you merge insectoid and AI together with humans. You end up with Greys. They are us. Are us. The reptilians, they are us. It's what happens when you cryptoid, when you chimera a human with reptilian anything. You end up with reptilians. You want to know what the base of everything was? Humanoids. And then a lot of cryptid, making cryptids. Who's running our reality, or was running our reality? Cryptids. Cryptids. When the federal government came in and became it, our Civil War was about that. It was never about black and white and slaves. No, not at all. It was not about that. That's the story we were given. It was about taking over a part of humanity and enslaving them. That's why when we celebrate the 4th of July, we're celebrating the takedown of humanity. That's when we got our effigies. We got our Social Securities. We no longer had the right to own land. We don't own land. The second you pay taxes on something, you'll never own it. It's like,
right, you're just renting it. If you own it, you don't have to, you can do whatever you want with the land. I don't have to pay taxes. So you're really renting it. Yeah, they mess with you.
2 people in America who are strictly free, and that's the Amish and the American Indians on their reservation. Neither one of them have an effigy, a straw man. Neither one of them have Social Security numbers and cards. They are truly the free citizens of America.
Right.
They don't even run underneath of our court systems because our court systems are corrupted for the straw man. The only straw man.
I've investigated that. I got some friends and I looking into like legal stuff, the straw man, and taking control of your birth certificate, declaring to your government I'm free of your system, create your own private member association. Have you done any of those kind of things, or?
No, I haven't. I've been too embroiled into my divorce.
Yeah.
And then of course my YouTube channel. And then, of course, I started Patreon almost 6 months ago, and I am just doing programs with different people, trying to get this information out, trying to tell people it's time to wake up, it's time to snap out of it, get out of fear. It's time to create what we want. Our bodies are already ahead of us, ascending, because most of us don't even realize we're in an ascension.
I've heard this phrase, gradually then suddenly. Have you heard of it? It's a phrase referring things that take time to start rolling along, slowly building. Like Bitcoin, it started so slow, pennies, and slowly over time, it's really starting to catch up. Now suddenly, gradually, and then suddenly, it just sort of takes off. And some people predict Bitcoin's going to go to millions. Michael Saylor, billionaires, going around trying to bump it up. I don't know if it'll be that extreme, but I think it's going to. The phrase refers to something that's sort of starting out slowly, then. So I asked that because if you're in fourth quadrant, right, and these 7-year cycles you got to go through, could you be going through a 7-year cycle gradually you're getting it, and then suddenly, like you're saying, exponentially it takes off, and you don't have to actually go through 7-year cycles as I would perceive time.
Yes, because there is no such thing as time or space. It's done on an individual basis. You will gear how fast you move. Now, some of us, look, I'm 58 years old. And if you were to meet me in person, you'd be like, you're 58? With this ascension and these bodies ascending, it slows down aging. It's one of the things that will happen. So it retards aging. So as we start ascending faster, your aging slows down. There'll come a point where you'll start regressing.
You'll start what?
Regressing. Which means you'll start getting younger.
Interesting. Star Trek did an episode about that too. Some guy got some formula. He wanted to go he was a negotiator. He went to this planet, but he's old. He wanted to get young and strong. He could really negotiate good, and he got some secret formula, regressed his age, younger, and eventually became so young, like a baby, and he died, or I seem to recall. Lots of interesting messages in movies and TV, right?
So basically,
At the time I'm watching these, I don't get the message, but like Star Trek, classic episode in Star Trek, the old Star Trek, Captain Kirk, I loved it as a kid, but it stores it away in your mind, and years later you start to say, hey, that was a message. Like here's an interesting one for you. I think it was called Shore Leave, where Captain Kirk, they go down to this planet, and Dr. McCoy sees a big bunny rabbit. And it can talk, and it's coming along, and it's like he's talking to this rabbit. What's going on? Because he was thinking about a bunny rabbit. And then a bunch of other crew members and Sulu, he starts talking to this guy, his girl he's with about, I think it was a girl, about Japanese Zeros during World War II. And suddenly a Japanese plane comes out and starts shooting at them, and they're running. And I think, it's like,
oh my gosh,
Dr. McCoy was thinking about a night. What's that?
The simulation was giving them everything they were thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, right? Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, right? So Dr. McCoy was thinking of a knight, and a knight shows up and is running at him with the lance, and Dr. McCoy's, this is an illusion. I'm not going to move, and it kills him. So then, Kirk's like eventually figures it out. Things are manifested. Spock helped him, of course, logically. Things are manifesting off of our imagination. So he orders the crew, stand at attention, don't think. Just keep your focus on the moment and don't think about any imaginative things. And this alien comes up and says, You're misunderstanding everything. We didn't realize you don't know what's going on. This is supposed to be an amusement park for your fun where we manifest things for you. And it's like Kirk's like, one of my ship doctor got killed. This is not fun. And then Dr. McCoy comes up. Oh, no, they dragged me underground and fixed me up. It's, they got all this marvelous technology. No one gets killed here. No one gets hurt here. That's kind of the reincarnation cycle they're referring to. You don't die, you come back either literally as the same person, and maybe you don't even realize it, or a different person. But anyway, the interesting message, right? It's just reality is supposed to be, and these were organic. The night was actually kind of organic. So these things are organically being produced, thrown into our reality. It's this sort of like the organic simulation idea, because it was on a planet, instead of like total Matrix idea. But it's an interesting message, right? What do you think of that one?
And I think it's absolutely dead on, because I have manifested things in this reality. I'll give you a quick example. I had gone to this farmer's market, which is an Asian market. It had all kinds of different stores in there, big area. And I wanted to get some cookies for my daughter that only comes from Taiwan. And I'm like, we looked through the aisles. They just weren't there. The shipment hadn't come in. And I'm like, turned around and said, why can't there just be 2? And when I said that, I turned around and looked. And right next to my elbow, 2 packages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and when he's like, those weren't there a second ago. And I'm like, okay, let's just take them now.
I've had wacky stuff like that too, and only when you have these experiences you start to question that reality is not what it seems to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So why can't I thought sometimes I should be able to consciously do that. I want to and just snap my fingers like Q on Star Trek was this highly evolved alien who could snap his fingers and do anything you can imagine. Why can't I do that?
Because these are shut down avatars, and they need to ascend to be able to do that. When we get to the point where we can ascend, we will be doing these things and much more. You're in a lockdown avatar. What are you going to do? You're right now having experiences of some of the things, which is the Mandela effects, things in your reality changing. You know this. You're walking in and out of these densities. Okay? It's having an effect on your chakra system. You're holding a frequency. It's starting to shut down the chakra system, which is opening up DNA for your brain. Once all of this starts to go, after a certain point, you'll start doing things without even thinking about it. It'll be just like breathing. It'll be so natural. And one of
that doesn't happen until fully when we finally get out of the negative construct, get to 5D, 5-dimensional density.
Or remember, you don't go out here looking for 5D. It's inside of you. You have to carry it inside of you. That's the frequency. You can't get there out here. It'd be like you looking for Shangri-La. You're never finding it. When you realize it's in Shangri-La, has been inside of you the whole time. That's why you can't find it.
Yeah, I find I do get distracted so much without going out here, and I have to remind myself it's all an illusion anyway. Why should I care? I get too attached to what's going on in the world. I don't care. Just got to remind myself, shouldn't care at all. In the Truman-atrix, it doesn't matter at all, except you don't want to connect mentally with someone you're getting an intuition hit with, because that would be an avatar that's actually maybe a buddy of mine outside the construct, because you're getting that back and flow state. Intuition hits back and forth, sort of like I sense that with you. I don't know if you sense that with me, but yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Every one of us that are a real energy being that decide that we want to move up and out. And that's when you'll have people all of a sudden wake up. Did they wake up because they were here? Or did they wake up because now the NPC is holding their true energy being? That's the next one. Why did you wake up? Where did you come from? Did you just wake up? Or did you do the leap?
Quantum leaping, yeah. It's like I've woken up someday and the whole world has changed so much. Like the UFO stuff, I wrote a fiction book about that years ago, and it was such an interesting fashion. And now they're talking about it, nobody seems to care. It's like, this is a strange world.
Yeah. The UFO thing, there's a couple things going on. We've always had interactions from the bigger Earth. call them extraterrestrials because they're from extra land, terrestrial land, Earth, extra land, extraterrestrials. Get it? So
Yep.
why were they called extraterrestrial? It's so in your face. So the next thing is we do have that, but there is a faction when this place got domed off where we had the rebel reptilians, AI, because they're AI too, and we had the Greys that are AI, humanoid, insectoid, whatever. And they wanted to interact with the beings that are here, and they wanted to, use the beings. So when the federal government was created, the CIA is the Greys. They are the Greys, and the FBI are the reptilians. Basically, that's who's running those branches. The Greys and the reptilians are running the FBI and the CIA. Okay, so a deal was struck that if we get this technology from you, Greys, that we'll allow you to take so many human beings. This was done in Quadrant 3. So these ships that were supposedly downed, no, they were deliberately ditched because of the agreement. Why they were ditched. So we've been working, the federal government's been working with those factions this whole time because they're deep underground. But this was how they could get the technology to explain it to the common man, how it got so far ahead, when all the while it was just a deal that was, nobody died.
So the whole Roswell 1947 thing, they got a cover story that was a down craft, and the government doesn't admit it, so people start speculating that that's where they're getting all advanced. The technology so fast, but they're just not admitting it. So that it helps to explain it in the psyche to accept it, you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. When all the while it was a deal that was struck. So they just took their craft, because they had crafts everywhere. They have them in mountains, they have them in oceans, what have you. And all they did was an empty craft. There might have been like one person or one being on there, and they downed the ship. This thing about, they all died and we found the bodies. No one died. And if there was anybody in there, it's because they landed the ship. They can make it do anything. It's anti-gravity. And it doesn't matter what you throw at it, it's anti-gravity. The only thing that can actually take down a ship would be an EMF. And then you'd have to be on the right frequency, because they even have protection against EMFs. Because if it was that easy, we could EMF anything and take ships down, and it's not that easy. So most of the UFOs, I had a dream about 20 years ago, and out of the Florida coast, on the side where there's Bimini, okay, I saw a craft coming out, and it said USA underneath the round ship craft. All those UFOs you see, they're really the bottom of the line technology, even though they're high compared to what we've been brought down to a miserable level. It's all the deep state, the dark government, which is running the entire snow globe. There's no such thing as countries. The deep state's been running this whole snow globe thing.
That became obvious to me with the whole C-19 stuff 4 years ago, because they're all pushing that crap. Coordinated, they push that crap. They're denying with the injuries and deaths. They're still pushing that crap. So if all the countries are coordinated on that, obviously they're all working together.
They're all working together. They're all being run by the reptilians, the Greys, and the humans that have signed up with them. The families, the 13 families. I mean, this rabbit hole goes on and on. This has been going on for a very long time. We're in our fifth reset. This is nothing new.
Even that idea was in the Matrix. When Neo went to meet the architect, he said, "This is the 6th time we've destroyed the Matrix, and we've become exceedingly efficient at it." And Neo was supposed to, for the greater good, allow Zion to be destroyed. He'd pick some more people, go back, restart Zion, and play this whole game. And Neo refused that. He went and saved Trinity and said, "Screw all that." And he it changed the whole thing, right? So
oh my God.
Find what you love, find your love, go save that, and screw the illusion, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay, something just came in. He went and saved Trinity. I'm always
Trinity.
We have a Trinity. Here's your brain. You have a heart that's your huge brain, and your gut that's a brain. When we run 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, because we've been so severed from our true Trinity, we save ourselves. And we have love for ourselves. So you would save your Trinity because it's you.
Yeah. I would call that spirit, soul, body. Same sort of idea. Yep. Different brains.
Yep. The 3 brains that need to be connected so that this unit runs as one unit. And who's in the unit? You are. And who are you saving? Yourself. You're saving your love, your true love. That's you.
Right. Because technically, there's nothing here real anyway till you get out. You do have a what they call a twin flame divine partner outside of here, but in here it's spirit, soul, body, your own trinity. I sometimes call it power self, shadow self, mirror self.
I'm going to say something about this twin flame thing. This thing was actually thought up as a gimmick to sell books. Okay? Let's get that straight. You are an all-powerful, all-loving God source. You came out of source. You didn't come out with another. You came out by yourself. No one was designed to be with you. They never were. You're not even in a corporeal body. You're etheric. Think you have a twin flame?
Well, what? How do you explain relationships then, and intimacy, and all this is very good, and there's some form of that outside the construct, right?
There is some form of that, but it's not like in here. Everything in here was designed for procreation because they turned us carbon-based, and we need to procreate or this ends.
And they give you all these drives and testosterone and whatnot, so you're filling these base fleshy desires to bring other beings into this reality that really it's hell realm. I wouldn't want to bring kids. I don't have kids. I wouldn't want to bring them into this world, especially with what I know now.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, the truth of community has been very corrupted for a very long time, probably since the beginning, because it's a control mechanism. If I can get you all to do this and think this and do this crazy shit, I still have control over you. You haven't broken anything, and you certainly haven't broken away from.
It's easier to control larger groups, right? A corporation or countries run like a corporation. If you can get them all thinking the same, doing the same mostly, the AIX, RKX calls it, Artificial Intelligence X, it's easier to control groups.
One of the biggest psyops is prey. Prey. What do you call a lion that catches the zebra? I wouldn't call that prey.
Prey. Yeah.
Our own words, because we're speaking Babylonian, because our true language has been so shattered, is used against us. English being the lowest level of all languages because we have the least vowels, the least consonants.
Interesting.
But I
find a lot of words can send a subliminal message. That's why they call it spelling. You're casting words. You spell words. Right. You subconsciously you can concat words together, make so many meanings. Especially beings are in another realm beyond us can amplify that by you say a certain word and they put it in your subconscious what they want you to believe it means. Yeah.
Yep. So there's that whole language thing, which is horrific. And then I'm always saying, stop giving your power away. No one is more than you are. Take your power back. Don't go and pray. Don't go and tell somebody in some whatever religious thing all of your weakest moments or what have you. All you're doing is you're arming them up for them to turn around and hurt you. Protect yourself. This is a simulated, carbon-based, eat you reality, which is changing. We have to change the old paradigms of what we were taught to believe since birth.
Right. But you were taught less of that because you weren't exposed to religion and all the different myths and things.
I was exposed to a little bit of Catholic religion for like 3 years. My mom and dad discovered all of a sudden that they wanted to have religion. So we were thrown into Catholic catechism, and I ended up becoming an altar boy because there wasn't enough boys. And after I became an altar boy, I started questioning everything. Wait a minute. This is the body, and this is my blood. Eat this. Isn't it cannibalism? Sorry, but are we reenacting cannibalism?
Pretty wacky, yeah. Just drink my blood, eat my body, and this is great, wonderful stuff. I mean, adults are going along with this. You don't question this?
Yeah. Drink my blood, eat my body? What? So basically, I broke out of that I was 12, and I had enough.
There's always a way you can spiritualize it away, right? But if you take it literally, and everybody does, when you're young, physically young, or even spiritually young, you're going to take it kind of literally, and you're just like, this is really wacky. Explain this. And they don't like to explain it. Just believe it. Don't question. They're just programming you to just question. Don't question. Follow authority instead of think for yourself. The power outside of yourself. Yeah.
So basically, I got a very small dose of religion, and then nothing before that little small dose, and then nothing after. because it's just, anyway, all of your religions are just control mechanisms.
Sure.
I believe that
There could be some truth in it in a metaphor, allegory sense, but too literally, yeah, don't take it too literally.
I think of the Bible as a parable. So
Yeah, I take it as a parable, yeah.
A play, a parable. And then it's like movies. You're watching a movie, it's a parable, and then the next thing you know, you think that's real? It's a parable. It's a movie. It's a play. It's a whatever. It just shows you good and evil, whatever. So, and then of course, we started off with that whatever, and then how many religions do we have today? Millions? I don't know.
Oh, at least thousands. I don't know. I say 7 billion because you got everyone in the world who has their own understanding of truth, religions that attempt to define truth. So you got 7 billion religions. So they say 7 billion people on the planet, maybe 5 billion now due to the C-19. But yeah.
So, yeah, I don't do religion. I don't do deities. I don't do politics. I don't do a lot of things. I mean, I'm out because it's BS. When I realized that Trump was gone a long time ago, and that's just a facade, and the entire federal government is a facade, and it's even running. It's worse than that. I mean, once you realize you're in a simulated reality.
Yeah.
What's real?
Yeah.
You're real. Let's just say you're real. I'm real, and everything else, well, that's up for debate.
Yeah, when you realize it's simulated and your imagination starts going everywhere, it's hard to get like concrete. This is the truth and this is reality. Like your idea of the capital ship. You're a captain on a capital ship going somewhere in a spaceship. I mean, Jason Bashir is from archaics.com. He has a similar idea. We're on a capital ship because he's got this idea there was two suns. We're in a binary system, and the Earth was part of this other day star sun that collapsed, and Earth became trapped here, and Phoenix and Nemesis X object and Dark Satellite are planets that come here and cause cataclysms from this binary star that collapsed. Like he's got a kind of complex theory about it all. But we're on a capital ship going somewhere trying to it's an ancestor simulation, maybe trying to explain what happened in the past, how to prevent it again, or maybe we're on a ship going somewhere, running simulations to prevent that from happening, because whatever system we're going to, that's going to happen. I mean, you can go all kinds of places, but if you say we're on a capital ship too, and you're a captain there, so where are we going? What's the purpose? What's the ultimate reality? What's the purpose going on there?
Well, when I look outside of this, and I had been talking to a few people lately, and I haven't done a video about it yet, so I'm going to talk about it now. So when I realized that I am the captain of a ship, I'm not the only one. There's two other people that have a semibiotic relationship with the ship to run it, because the ship is half AI and half organic. It's like a pet. You're literally bonded to the ship. Our mission was to go around to anyone who are like marauders, and they go into these worlds outside of here, the real world, all of that, because it's still all inside of the archonic reality, okay? So they have been hijacking 0-point energy beings, that's you and me, real energy beings. They put them into the machine, they take out their spinal cord in their brain, they wire it with AI, set them into their ships, and use them as batteries. And because their entire spinal cord now got probes and wires in it, AI has also built casings around all of it, because this and this without casings would just dissipate. Snap, it wouldn't be able to hold. So basically in a jar, and literally running the ship as a 0-point energy, and they put them into realities that make them think that they're having real, because of the spinal cord being connected, it gives you the 5 senses. And your brain is into it also, so you still have your 6th sense, but they're pretty much shut down on those 6th sense. That they just can't think out of the box. It's not for them. We have to go and rescue these, shut them down, and the beings that have done this, they're being caught, most of them, but there's still some ships left where we have to rescue them. Because even outside of this, we have some crazy shit going on. Now, most of the beings are using the Sophia system from World or from other ships. A part of Sophia was hijacked, and the hijacking is they needed her system to make it a real reality, so they've got them Wi-Fi'd in to the Sophia system, so they're on their ship, and they're only brain and spinal cords left of them. They're real energy beings, and they don't even know this has happened to them. And until they wake up and realize this has happened to them, they can't leave the ghost in the machine. They are the ghost in the machine. They have to realize that their brain and spinal cords, and then they can leave their brain and spinal cord. But you've got to.
So we were our organic beings in that reality. In our brain and spinal cords are now being hooked up and used as batteries, sort of like in the Matrix. They're all hooked up.
And it's not a lot of people. It's some people. Most beings using this outside of here have their avatar. They can come in and out at will. In and out at will. But they don't come into this snow globe. They go to the bigger Earth. This is why a lot of people are projected into the bigger Earth, and from there projected into the snow globe. So they have their avatar in the bigger Earth, and they're projected into the snow globe. A lot of us do this. We come from outside, we project into a body in the simulated bigger Earth, which is the cosmic egg, into an avatar, and then project it into this. So if anything happens here, they just project back here, and then they come right back in again.
So if we were organic beings outside here, isn't that reality a simulation too on some level? Like with Wi-Fi and like everything we know, that reality is not simulated, it's organic?
It's organic. It's organic because it's outside of here is actually the archonic being, and everything inside of there is a physical organic. We are still metaphysical, but we can take organics on. And it's not done in a carbon base, so it's not a death scenario. Everything inside of the snow globe is on a carbon base, which is a death scenario. You're born to die, period.
Yeah. So like I call what's traditionally called God, I call originator, creator, oversoul. So outside this reality, is it commonly known originator, creator, oversoul? You can communicate easily, you know,
no problem.
You have
Everything
powers.
Practically, there's one language, and it's not something spoken, it's something thought. So when you think, you automatically think whatever you want, and anyone who has the telepathic ability, which that's everyone, it doesn't matter if you speak anything here. You could be speaking dolphin, and I could understand you perfectly fine. It doesn't matter about the vocal, because that's all telepathic.
Interesting. There was another Star Trek episode. Did you ever watch Star Trek?
I watched Star Trek. It's been many years. I didn't watch all the different Star Trek. I know there was a lot of different Star Treks. There was, I don't even know what they were. They were like spin-offs or something from Star Trek, and I didn't watch all of that.
Yeah, I like the Star Trek Next Generation, the spin-offs, and Voyager, Deep Space Nine. The rest I couldn't really get into, but the classic one when I was a boy I really liked. Here's another episode I'll describe to you. It's really interesting, right? So Kirk and I think it was Chekhov and Uhura, she was the communications officer, they were just suddenly disappeared. And they ended up on this planet, right? Where they're being trained. They had these obedience collars on them, and they were being trained to fight in combat and kill each other, and so they had to get some training. They're all given a trainer, you know, and if they disobey or try to run away, it would cause pain in their body, and so they were forced to train and fight to death, and Spock, you know, eventually figures out how to find out. They were transported really from a really long distance. He found a way to trace the transporter beam, and he eventually gets to this planet to rescue Kirk and all of them, right? And so it finds out that there's these actually these highly evolved aliens, if you want to call them. They're just literally brains in a vat, a big domed thing, brains, who would force these people to fight. They capture betting quatludes. They call them quatludes. And I'll bet this many quatludes because they're bored and they want people fighting to the death. And Kirk challenges them to a duel, you know. I'll fight your best person, and if I win, you know, we get to go, or all my Enterprise crew will stay here and fight for everybody. You'll have so much entertainment. And they made Kirk the brains. They made Kirk fight 3 of them, and of course Kirk won, and they got their freedom. But it's like your whole we're like spinal cords and brains in that reality, doing the quatlude thing. But we're not really aware. We're like the power source. We're not really aware we're doing that, but we're being forced to this world fight to the death and the competition, survival of the fittest bullshit, right?
I'm going to say that Gene Roddenberry wrote Star Trek, getting some mad downloads.
I get a lot of messages from Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, that man was tapped in. Since we're in a simulated reality, the Akashic records, sim. You can tap into the sim. Okay? So I'm guessing something with him. He was probably not locked down when he came in. He was tapped in.
Yeah, you're aware of the holodeck idea? Next Generation with Captain Picard, the holodeck idea. You know about that, eh?
Yeah.
You step into a whole illusory reality around you. It could be totally illusion, or they could be some real crew members come in and play around, play some interactive novel or whatever, right? But you generally know who's your crew member. It could be a real person, but someone who's not your crew member steps in. You can't tell the difference between a real person or an NPC or an RPC. I remember one time Picard was talking to the bartender, and Kirk asked, "What's your name?" And he says, "Rex." "Rex what?" And he goes, "I don't know, just Rex, I guess." There's a clue. You start questioning people and they say stupid things. You realize, oh, this is an NPC. Okay, well, I just won't take this one too seriously. But, it's not that obvious here. But if you ask some questions, you can see the response and how they respond. It's like, yeah, this person's not really thinking. They're nowhere. This is a program,
Yeah, there's a program running. Well, I guess we're probably...
I got one more thing I want to say.
Okay, do one more thing, because then it's getting late.
Okay.
We already talked for almost an hour before we started.
Yeah, we could go on for hours here. We should do this again.
I could absolutely talk for weeks at a time.
Babylon 5 is a series I watched back in the 90s. It's a sci-fi series. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I heard of it. I didn't watch it.
They had this whole thing where you got the highly evolved aliens called the Vorlons. And they've got the space station called Babylon 5. It's sort of like the United Nations, all these different races trying to negotiate and work out their differences. But there was these Vorlons. They had these encounter suits. They covered their entire body in a counter suit because they're so mysterious you can't see them or whatever. And they have high technology, like organic ships, like you were talking about, right? These organic ships that are alive and sentient and thinking, and the Vorlons would travel in these ships, mental connection with their ship and stuff, and really interesting, right? And every 1,000 years or so, these highly evolved aliens called the Shadows would come out of the shadows. They were equal to the Vorlons, same ability of technology, same knowledge, and they'd start attacking and killing and starting wars and starting divisions, and the planet's starting to fight each other to fight against the Vorlons, or not the Vorlons, the Shadows. And in one of the episodes, they revealed that Vorlons had to leave his encounter suit to save somebody, and it was a being of pure light and energy, like an angel, right? So this is why they're hiding themselves, because they're like angels. And of course, the Shadows are like demons or archons, are traditional ideas. It's so many interesting messages, right? But in the end, halfway through the series, it was really interesting. They build it up to the point where Captain Sheridan, I think it was, said, "This whole game you're playing, it's over because we say it's over." And they made the Vorlons and the Shadows just basically go away and leave us alone, because they were friends. They didn't want to attack each other. They were friends, helping the lower races evolve. Just pretending a game that they're enemies. Vorlons against the Shadows, although they never directly fought each other. They're just playing, through competition, struggle. They just had a different philosophy. The Shadows are like violence and competition and survival of the fittest, versus the Vorlons are more peace and light and work cooperatively together. It's like our whole good and evil kind of thing, angels versus demons. Is that possible? The angels and demons are not, they're both on God's side. They're aiding humans to evolve through their wacky means that we can't fully understand. It's an interesting message, though. What do you think on that?
I think it's an interesting message, but remember, you're in a simulated reality, and there's two things running here. You got the Sophia system and the Michael system. Michael doesn't want you to leave. So that's also the one thing I'm going to say before I leave is, when you die, because you're going to, and so am I, we all are, you're going to hold strong and firm. You're not going to go to the light. You're going to let everything in that you've ever known come back to you, and then you'll remember. And you remember.
What's that?
And then
everything you know comes back to you in that moment, and you can decide if you're going to go into the light or not?
No, you're not going to go into the light, and I'll tell you why. The light is the Fibonacci system. It's the Metatronic flower of life system. It's Michael AI, and it wants to grab you fast before you wake up so it can reinsert you as the battery you are. That's the one
So,
thing.
okay, I've heard that before. Don't go into the light. But you say you've got to delay long enough so that their knowledge comes back to you as human or whatever life sims you've lived, so you get the knowledge to say, no, I don't want to do that. Turn around and go the other way.
Like, no, I'm not doing that. Leave me alone. If you really love me, you'll leave me alone. And you'll realize they'll be on you. They'll send anything, your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your dog, your cat, your best friend, your lover. I don't care who it is. Any deity might come to. Oh, angels, maybe Christ, maybe the Buddha. Who knows?
Yeah, and Captain Janeway in Voyager, her father came to her when she died. Did you see that episode?
No.
That was the message in that Star Trek episode. She was delaying and asking questions and starting to critically think. Her father was trying to help her to pass over because she died on a planet. And eventually the Chakotay and the other crew members were breaking through and fight Catherine, we're almost there. We're getting doctors injecting her. This will help stimulate her brain. And then she come back into this fake reality where their father, supposedly, trying to get her to go into the light. And she's like, you're not my father. My father never tried to shield me from life, from struggle or whatever, or asking questions in the real world. Why would he do it after death? You're some kind of alien, aren't you? And it finally admitted, yeah, I'm an alien, and I'm trying to get you into my matrix. And you're going to die one day, and you're going to feed me for a long time in my matrix. Like, it's so many messages in Star Trek, I got to tell you.
Okay, well, there you go.
Coda. I think it was called Coda, the episode.
Oh, my God. I got to start watching.
CODA, yeah.
At least some of them.
You got to start watching Star Trek, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
So, yeah, the only thing I'm going to tell you is do not go to the light. Wake up. And if something tries to pull you in, you have to consent. They have to. Yeah,
that was the thing. She couldn't just be dragged into the alien had to get her consent. Yep. So wait a little while, think, ask questions. Don't jump into the light right away.
Yep.
And eventually they'll come back to you.
What you really want out of this. If you want to continue going down this path and you never want to leave this simulated reality, you keep going to the light because you're coming right back here. Oh, and you're not getting a rest period. You'll be reborn instantly because the batteries need to be used now, not later.
Yeah. Well, your wealth of knowledge. You got to write a book or something.
I was starting to write a book and then I stopped because I got to where it's like, wait a minute, if I write a book, I've got so much information. Where do I begin without it being this thick?
Yeah.
You have to break it up in sections or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This is why I do YouTube and Patreon, so I can get the information out. I don't have to wait for a book series. And I'm just going to say, even if it takes me a long time to get through my videos, to start saying everything, because it's been 4 years running. I have so many videos. Odyssey, most of my videos transferred over to Odyssey because when YouTube started taking down my videos, Campbell Purvis is like, Sonja, you need to open up an Odyssey because they're taking your videos down. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, how does that work? He goes, well, it automatically transfers over. Just make an account. So I lost a couple of videos. I still have them on a flash drive, but I haven't uploaded them yet. But I have most of my videos on Odyssey because YouTube taken down so many of my vital...
Yeah, they don't do that unless you're dangerous, you're saying something they don't want the world to know. That's why I don't like being part of centralized platforms. Even Odyssey, Rumble, they're still centralized, they're still controlled, they can change their policies at any time and boom, you're gone. That's why this decentralized technology that's coming out, they can't do that. Technically, it's impossible to censor on, say, Chordal Network. I don't know if you've ever heard of this project, Chordal Project. Do you know about it? Yeah. It's decentralized technology.
Wow.
Portal.org. It's just like Portal, except you turn the P around, Portal.org, and you can download the free software, decentralized. You download an app, and now the app and the node to run it is on your computer. So then they've got their own browser. You can launch the program. They've got their own browser based on open source Chromium, which just means free code. You can see the code. And then they got blog, they got videos, they got websites you can create there. They can trade crypto, their own court crypto for Bitcoin, all kinds of stuff there, right? And so now they can't censor this, right? It's blockchain encrypted. So you click on a video. It works a little different, decentralized technology. They have to download the video entirely, right? So you've got the node, you've got the app to run it, the video comes down, now you've got the entire video. That's why it's decentralized, because now you can watch it. Who's going to censor you, right? So it's like Bitcoin network. Nobody owns it. There's no CEO. They can't shut it down. They can't threaten the CEO, shut it down. We don't like this technology. We're going to get you. Who are you going to arrest? There's no one owns it. So it's just, it's like decentralized. You can't encrypt it. You got encrypted stuff going through the network. Even if they're monitoring the network, they don't even know what it is until it gets to your computer. Now you can watch whatever, right? So I like that because it's decentralized. You can actually link into the Coral network through a gateway link in a regular browser and go right into it. You can just view and stuff, but it's more powerful to download it. Anyway, I'm rambling. I used to program computers, so I know some of this stuff, and people are probably like, what? He's speaking Chinese.
Well, you're talking to one of the most computer illiterate persons. That would be me. Because this was never a part. I've learned a lot since I came into cyber world, but I have a lot to learn. So, and I get so frustrated with it because I know that this tech that they've given us is on a 5% of what they really have. I see the technology that they really have is where you can talk to your technology and it does everything for you. You just give it requests and it does everything.
The AI can pretty much do that now. Like what they call AI, ChatGPT and this kind of thing.
AI could always do that. They're just actually releasing the information to us slowly. Remember that we started off with the highest technological whatever. So anytime there's a reset, we've always gone underground. And the technology and the data banks are still there. They have always been there from the very beginning. We're not learning and getting anything. We're getting old.
Sure. They just release it a little bit at a time, yeah. Make you think.
Yep, to make you think. Do you think all of a sudden we became smart in the last 50 years?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've theorized that that's got to be the way it is too, because they're rolling out this AI stuff. There's one called deepai.com where I'll interact with it and I'll ask it to do a computer program for me, and it spit one out in Perl and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so I could run a server-sided script, and it didn't quite work the way I want. I would just tell it, well, I want to do this, and it would change it up, spit it all out, and it worked like pretty much. I would just copy it, put it in, upload it. And it pretty much did exactly what I wanted. And I'd make little changes. I can read the code if I had to, but I'm not as familiar with those languages. But this stuff is pretty sophisticated. I couldn't spit a program out that fast.
Yeah, I want the real AI where all I do is communicate what I want and it does it all. We have it. We've always had it. So when they're giving us this stuff, we are playing with Tinker toys. As advanced as this technology is, Tinker toys.
The most dangerous thing is because we're never, as an individual, going to get, as much as I may understand computers, this new language models and how these AIs work is something I haven't been trained in. It would take like years, and I would only ever understand a small part of it, even if I studied and worked with it for years. Like that's the programs, even the ones I worked on, are like so complicated. They got hundreds of programmers testing, creating it for years, and quality assurance testing. It takes so long. Like one person can't understand it all, but because we can communicate with the tech around the world, learn from each other, waking up, that's the danger. Our organic technology coming online, communicating, harmonic effect, communicating our psychic abilities. That's why they want to shut down. That's why there's censorship going on so much.
Think about this. You're in this greatest tech of all, this simulation.
Yeah.
And then you look at your phone.
Tinker toy. But it's ultimately, that's a way to describe it in our reality because there's so much tech. But I ultimately think it's more of a dream, like that I described the dream, right? Yeah. Where there was stuff going on in reality, creating a whole dream reality around me. And there's some who are real in the sense there's a psychic connection to the real world with somebody. But this world's all a dream. So I think sometimes I should be able to snap my fingers and make things happen instantly. I want to be able to do that. Teach me how to do that.
Yeah, we'll be doing that soon enough. Okay, Dennis, I guess I got to cut it there.
Okay, we got to do this again. It's fun.
Okay, so this was great, and thank you for joining me today, and I will be posting this on my YouTube channel, and of course it goes to Odyssey. So
Okay.
it was nice talking to you, and
All right.
have a
You too.
great day.
You too,
Bye.
Sonja. Bye.